Alright, it's here. Well, sort of. We were able to catch our first glimpse of Sonic Prime with Episode 1 premiering on Roblox. Okay, listen, I love the fact that Sega's making all these crossovers happen. They're both fun and give the brand a lot more exposure. But I would be lying if I said this whole premiere just wasn't smooth on my end. First off, I only have a Chromebook, which while good for schoolwork, just could not handle Roblox. You can forget about my phone. So the only way I was able to experience this premiere after I realized it just wasn't going to work was to watch Sam procrastinate stream, so shout out to him. Even though he had to obscure the view of a transparent background to avoid copyright, I was still able to understand what was happening. All I missed out on was some flashy colors. I don't mind crossover events like this, but with something as big as the premiere of a new show, I do wish we could have viewed the first episode maybe outside of Roblox. Regardless, I still watched it and I have some thoughts. Did I enjoy it? Yeah, I did. I know, that reaction was probably anticlimactic since with most things in this franchise, people either love something with all their heart or fucking despise it. With Sonic Prime though, I wasn't necessarily head over heels for it, but I certainly didn't dislike it. This video will be divided into two halves where I talk about the good first and then the small things I was a little turned off by. And as the title says, there will absolutely be no spoilers for the first episode. With that, let's begin. Starting with the good, the most obvious is the animation. Some of you may be aware that Sonic shows in recent years are kinda notorious for not having good animation. Sonic X is by far my favorite adaptation of Sonic in his world outside of the games, but you could just tell that that show's budget just wasn't there at times. Cartoon Network's Sonic Boom was a definite improvement, but it was obvious they couldn't really go all out, which further explains its more slow sitcom nature. With that, believe me when I say Sonic Prime doesn't just break that cycle. It obliterates it. This is probably the best Sonic and his friends have ever looked, and I'm not exaggerating. The animation is flashy, full of expression, very fluid, and is full of color. I don't know why, but this show's animation gives me heavy Into the Spider-Verse vibes, but less comic booky. And you know what? It's not just the animation. The art style as well looks beautiful. Since this is fully set in Sonic's world, the show takes full advantage of that by showcasing some really cool environments. It feels like we're watching game cutscenes but with 10 times the budget, and it's very pleasing to look at. The second massive positive is just the direction of these characters. Again, this video is spoiler free, so I can't really go into it too much. All I'll say is I absolutely adore the way Sonic and Tails are being depicted, as well as their relationship. Mainly, I just love the direction Sonic is being taken in general. Without revealing anything, this Sonic is majorly flawed, and unlike the games or movies, we see his bad choices have severe effects on the world and the people around him. It's really cool, and it's nice knowing that even though the story is heavily aimed at kids more so than other adaptations, these writers are taking these characters we all cherish pretty seriously, and they're aiming to tell an actual story. While I'm on it, let me tell you another major positive: Prime's sheer ambition and concept. You probably already know it, but in case you don't, I won't mention what the concept is fully. But for those of you who do, it should come to no surprise that Prime's scale is pretty large, and allows for a lot of imagination and creativity. Just in the first episode alone, there are a lot of cool ideas here, and I honestly can't wait to see more. That mainly does it for the positives, so onto the few negatives I do have of what I've seen so far. First off, the pacing. This show kind of jumps around a lot. And look, I get it, season 1 will only have 8 episodes, with the remaining 7 after this being 20 minutes each, so they kinda have to get to the point. Plus, this show's main demographic tend to get bored easily, so they need to keep things flashy and interesting. Still, just a little something I hope improves in subsequent episodes. Second, the voices. Listen, I think this is a really talented voice cast, and Sonic, Knuckles, Rouge, and especially Eggman all sound great. But for some reason, Tails, Amy, and Big just sound really off to me. This is an entirely new cast, and I'm very much used to the game voices, so this could be a me problem, but I thought I should bring it up nonetheless. And lastly, but most majorly, the humor. I don't mind cheesy, dumb kids humor. You're listening to a guy who adores the Sonic movies, which are riddled with fart jokes, pop culture references, and Jim Carrey shenanigans. But I just didn't find the show's humor funny or charming at all, which wouldn't be too bad if it didn't spend a lot of its time trying to be. This is a very subjective issue, and I'm sure others will probably get a good laugh out of it. But to me, I just couldn't help but think Pontac and Graf somehow infiltrated the writer's room undercover at points. It wasn't obnoxious, it just wasn't up my alley. So yeah, that pretty much concludes my first impressions on Prime, and I liked it. I think this series has a lot of potential, and I'm looking forward to its official release. It just didn't wow me personally. I'll give you guys my full thoughts once I'm able to watch the entirety of Sonic Prime Season 1. If any of you have seen the first episode, let me know what you think. I'd be very interested to hear. With that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, then please like, subscribe, and as always, I will see you guys next time. Peace out.